Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very inspiring show coming right up with special guest, Kelly-Sullivan-Walden. And she's here to talk to us about her new book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Dreams and the Unexplainable. Now, Kelly is a dream therapist and author of 6 books on dreams and premonitions, and she knows what she's talking about when it comes to this realm. She's appeared on numerous TV and radio shows to analyze dreams and explain how they can benefit us from listening to our inner wisdom. So let's welcome to the show, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Marianne. What a pleasure to be with you.
What a pleasure this is. Well, I'm so glad that we're here to talk about you contributed to this new book, and of course, it's a Chicken Soup of the Soul book.
Yeah, we've got 101 stories that are absolute awe-inspiring stories. Amy Newmark and I got to cultivate and curate these out of about 5,000 different stories that are truly miraculous. It's 101 eye-opening stories about premonitions and miracles. It was really fun to do.
Well, I had no idea that you actually were the one that was getting this all together. That must have been quite a feat.
Yeah, this is the second book that Amy Newmark and I have done. We did one called Dreams and Premonitions about 2 years ago, and we had such a flood of people sending in dreams that Amy realized, and the book was selling really well. She's like, let's do another one, but this time brought in the kind of subtitle to the Unexplainable. So we've got medical miracles, and, I'm already somebody who believes in miracles and angels and all that stuff. But after reading these stories, I'm even more convinced that we are not alone here, and this is a friendly universe. And no matter what we're going through, we've got solutions all over if we just open our eyes.
Well, and so how did you get started on this path? What was your journey to where you are now?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, that's not a loaded question.
Yeah, really, right?
Oh, Lord. Okay, so I guess the nutshell is, and I think this is true for most people, when we're kids, we all tend to pay attention to dreams, and dreams are a part of our life, and it's normal to have them remembered in detail. I think what was interesting about my growing up was that I had a partner in crime. My younger sister, I have 4 sisters. The sister closest to me in age by a year and a half, she and I both had an interest in dreams and would share dreams with each other regularly, and it turns out that we tandem dreamed, meaning that we would show up in each other's dreams at the same time and be and know and recognize the characters that we were dreaming about. So we had this very in sync dream life that made it really compelling to talk about in our waking life quite often. So it gave me a reason to think about dreams. And because of that, my sister and I would literally get caught doing nothing, like sitting staring at a wall. And people would be like, why are you so happy? What are you so excited about? Because we'd be seeing things and talking about having these really provocative questions and stories to tell while we were little. Anyway, that's continued on, and we're really close to this day because of these dreams that we've shared. But during my 20s, I acted. I was in Hollywood and did all that and had some fun acting, but also kind of because I've paid attention to more of my outer world as opposed to the inner world. At some point I hit a crisis. I had an acting teacher that was kind of a star maker who was like going to make me a star, but I had given him all my power, and I had given Hollywood all my power, in fact. And one day when he said, nope, you're out, you suck, you're no good, he literally turned on the song The Death March and told me to leave class.
Wow.
And all I could see was black. Everything went dark, and all I knew was that I needed to die. And it was such a simple thing. I had given my power over to someone outside of myself. And at one moment they thought I was great, and the next moment they thought I was trash. And so then I believed him. And I had nothing internal to hold me up. So because I didn't die, I went on this mad quest to regain my spirit. I got into therapy, every 12-step program on the planet, ended up working with shamans, hypnotherapists, crystals, everything I could, until I finally met a therapist that worked with dreams, and she was encouraging me to pay attention to my dreams to help us with the therapy that I was doing. And I started to remember my dreams, but they were really, really scary, really upsetting. And her perspective was that a nightmare is an unfinished dream. And she said that to me that one day, and that changed everything in my brain, just kind of reoriented. I was like, what? A nightmare is an unfinished dream. That means that my story isn't over yet. My living nightmare is unfinished. And then she went on to say, you're the director of your dream. If you don't like how it's going, you can change it. So I ended up becoming really good at taking my nightmares and working with them in my waking state and finishing them, meaning that like I would put an ending on them that made me feel empowered or good, or I would walk through that dark alleyway and find the light at the end of it, or whatever the nemesis was that was chasing me, I would turn and face them and ask them what gift they were trying to give me. In other words, I wouldn't wake up or come out of my sleep state until I was empowered. And that was rocket fuel for me. So I became a hypnotherapist soon after that, and started working with clients and their subconscious minds with the perspective that because the dreaming happens with the subconscious mind, a lot of clients would dream and bring their dreams to me, and then I would pass on what I had learned about how a nightmare is an unfinished dream. And that became something that became an area of expertise and passion for me. I wrote a book about this back in 2002 called I Had the Strangest Dream. And then ever since that moment, it's been another dream book after the next, and so many things that have come in. And in many ways, I'm kind of back in Hollywood now, but this time kind of playing the role of myself. I get to do a lot of talk shows and even working on a TV show myself, but this time about empowering people to take off their masks and connect with their spirit. And so that's kind of what leads me to you.
Well, and it's so important for people to hear that, because a lot of times when they think someone has obtained a certain spiritual level, that, they were just totally gifted with it, and life was super easy. And, it helps a lot of people to hear just kind of the different things that people go. And Hollywood it's harsh. It could be a harsh community.
Oh, yeah, and the Me Too movement, I could fill up several books about my Me Too experiences, but really it's all the same. I mean, there's every client I work with, it's really the same issue. We've given our power away to someone or something outside of ourselves, and the work is always about getting our power back. And one way to do that is through the work that we can do on dreams, because we might think that we've gotten our power back from our ex-boyfriend or ex-husband or ex-boss or even current boss, but our dreams will reveal where we still have work left to do. And it's easier in some way to move the people, places, and things around in a dream to figure out how to conclude it in a positive way than it is in our waking life. In our waking life, we can't just march over to our husband and say, hey, say this and do this, and they're not necessarily going to be as malleable as the characters in our dreams. So but it has the effect. If we work on the level of our dream, it does change kind of in a spooky way the things that we're dealing with in our waking life.
Mm. Well, and I think it could be so empowering for people to hear that they can change the dreams, because a lot of times, like how you were getting into these nightmares, if you are conscious enough, you can make those changes when you're there. Or why don't you explain about how it happens when you wake up? Because that's pretty cool.
Right. Well, I think most people assume when I talk about this that I'm talking about lucid dreaming, and I'm not, because I think lucid dreaming is something that some people can do really well, and other people spend a lot of time and energy learning how to be lucid in their dream. And I've had a few lucid dreams in my day that have just spontaneously happened, and they're wonderful. But the truth is, most most of the average people aren't going to have a lucid dream that they remember. And so that it kind of means that it's not a realm that they can play in. But one thing that we can all do is take a remembered dream, because we all dream every night, 3 to 9 dreams every single night. And if we go out of our way just the tiniest bit, we can remember those dreams. And if we have one that is emotionally charged, or that if we should be so fortunate as to have a nightmare, because it's a gift when it happens, because it's an opportunity to really grow and change, we simply wake up from that dream, but you're still kind of in your sleeping zone. So it can be while you're still in your bedroom or go into your meditation area, but stay in that sleepy way. Like, don't splash any water on your face. Don't drink a cup of coffee. Stay connected to the dream realm, and get out your journal or a recorder or a pen and paper or paints or a way that you like to work with dreams. I like to journal. And you write down what happened in the dream exactly as it was, and then from the perspective that you are the director of your dream and it isn't over until you are empowered, then you have the creative challenge of figuring out what has to happen in that dream in order to get you to a place where you're empowered. Can I give you an example?
Oh, I'd love one. I'd love to hear it.
Okay, well, this is one that's kind of elaborate, but I'll try to make it simple. This is one of mine, and this was it started off super terrifying, and then it became really empowering. So in my dream, I was at a graduation ceremony, and it was an ocean of people. There was like thousands of people that were graduating, and family and friends. It was at night. There was the commencement speech was given by like the president of the school, and I realized in my dream that he was evil. Kind of like that acting teacher I had all those years ago. But he said, "Oh, I'm so proud of all of our graduates, and to demonstrate how much you've learned, bring on the wolves." And somehow there was like thousands of wolves that came charging toward all of us who thought we were graduating, and these hungry wolves were coming toward us. And I thought, okay, we're supposed to move toward the wolves, because that's what I keep telling everybody, move toward the thing that scares you. And so I'm like, oh, God, this doesn't feel good. This is terrifying. And then I realized that I had my 2 dogs. I have 3 dogs, but 2 of my dogs showed up in my dream. And they were right next to me, and I thought, no, these wolves are going to eat my dogs. So I just picked them up and started running like crazy. And I got into my car, and I escaped the wolves just barely. So I woke up feeling like I survived, but they were still out there, and it was a terrifying moment. So I realized then I have to go back into the dream. I'm not finished with this dream because I still have adrenaline. I'm still not well. So I went into the dream, and I was like, how the heck do I fix this? This is such a mess. Oh, my God, I don't have all day. And I was like, I just have a few minutes. So I did a shortcut dream edit. I just cut to what I wanted the last scene of this to be. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm missing a piece. Sorry. Mm-hmm. In my meditation before I started journaling, I said, what do I need to know about this? And I heard myself say, like this little girl voice saying, I wasn't trained for this. And I was like, oh, I wasn't trained to know how to take on these wolves. So I envisioned, like in quick fire succession, that I was trained to know how to deal with these wolves. So it was like in a time-lapse camera, fast, over years of working with the wolves, understanding them, learning about them, falling in love with them falling in love with me, blah, 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 until finally we're back at the graduation, but we're doing a do-over. And this time I'm the one giving the commencement speech. And I stand up, and I don't say anything, but I'm standing up, and I'm wearing this white dress, and it's like flowy, kind of Stevie Nicks-like. And all of a sudden, all the wolves show up, but they're standing all alongside me, to my right, to my left, and behind me. And they're completely in sync with me, and I'm in sync with them, and I am totally in my power, and we are all in love. And that's what the demonstration is that I'm demonstrating to the people that are graduating. Like, you have to own your power. And my power that was represented by these wolves it was all over the place once upon a time. I didn't own it, but I've done the work now to own my power, and now I can stand here with them. And so by the time I concluded that little dream therapy session with myself, which was about 5 or 10 minutes, I came out of that feeling like $1,000,000, and I can still feel the peace, the calm, the strength, and even the confidence that comes from that dream that nothing in this world could give me. You know, 1,000 fan letters or a publishing deal or whatever couldn't give me this internal feeling of all these wolves have my back, and I am in sync with them. I'm good. So there's an example.
Place. Yeah, that's a beautiful example, and I think it's so great for people to hear, because when I've known people that have had like a reoccurring nightmare, and it like haunts them. They can't get over it.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I mean, it can be so debilitating. In fact, I've met people that are in their 60s, 70s that had a horrible nightmare at a young age that was recurring. And because it was so terrifying, they willed off their ability to dream. Like, I don't want any more dreams. I don't want to remember dreams ever again. And they haven't remembered dreams since then because they were so bad. And so they've gone a lifetime without getting to pay attention to their dreams because of that bad dream. And in working with them in one session, I helped them to do the simple process that I just did, where you go back inside the dream and you finish it in a way that leaves you feeling empowered. And then they're like, oh my God, they feel great. They feel empowered. And then their dreams start coming back. And it is so simple. It's not easy. It takes an open mind to do it, because you have to be willing to think outside the box. But we all have that ability when we think in terms of dreams. We're not limited by reality, you know.
No.
So it's a really powerful process.
And it's so much better than living with a horrible dream that keeps bothering you. It's like, be in control and shape how you'd like that to look.
Exactly. And it's just, I like to tell people when they say, well, why am I having this? Why do I have these dreams? Like, what's wrong with me? And I think often it's like we just wake up too quickly. If the dream had a chance to play itself out, it would complete itself. Like any scary movie will usually conclude in a way that has the hero or heroine end up powerful. But if you walked out of the movie theater 5 minutes before the ending, you'd be left feeling really unwell. And so it's not that our dreams are trying to haunt us. Our dreams are on our side, and often they're helping us because we're ready. It's a reward in some way, because it's telling us that we're ready to face this thing. We're ready to become more powerful. We're ready to handle more of our power. So here's something to look at. And by the time we're complete with the process, we have a new dimension of ourselves available that we didn't have before.
Well, and it's such a beautiful place to be in, being able to, take the dreams and be in control, and then it leaves you in such an empowering place. And I love your story about how you went from being like a participant in this graduation to the person who is giving the speech. And it's such a different energy with that,
And I tell people it's your dream, so don't just end it in like a boring, ordinary way. Like you're in pain, you pull out the thorn, and that's the end. It's like, no, pull it out, make art out of it, like do something radical. Can I give an example from the Dreams and the Unexplainable about a nightmare that? Yeah. So you might even know this person. You may have interviewed her. Her name's Aurora Winter. She's a dear friend of mine. When she was younger, she was married for just a few years, had a 4-year-old son. Her husband died suddenly of a heart attack in his sleep when they were in bed together. And so she suddenly finds herself, she's like in her late 20s, and she's a widow, and she's got a little boy, and she's having to raise him on her own. And for 2 years, she was just she went from being Miss Sunshine to dark cloud over the head, felt like she lost her faith. She not only lost her husband, but she lost her faith. And she just had the dark cloud over her head for a couple of years and was really, really suffering until she had a dream one night that she was at an airport and her deceased husband approached her. And first thing she does is she sees him, she hugs him, and then she yells at him, like, where have you been? What have you done? I can't believe you abandoned us. Why did you do this? And she's crying and yelling. And he says, I've got 3 questions for you. If you knew I was going to die young, because that was my destiny, do you wish that you would have known ahead of time? And she was like, she thought about it. She's like, no, because then it would have tainted all of the good times we had together. I would have been too scared all the time. And so no. And then he said, so if you knew I was going to die young, do you wish that we had never had our son? And she's like, no, oh my God, he's the best thing ever. And even though I've been so sad these last couple of years, I wouldn't take that away. And he said, so knowing all of this and that I would die young, do you wish that we had never met? And she says, of course not. You are the love of my life. And then he says, so do you see that you wouldn't have changed anything, even though, this was our fate was that I was going to die young? And she realized, no, I wouldn't have changed anything. So she woke up from that dream with a complete paradigm shift, feeling completely actually lucky that she got to have the man of her dreams for a period of time and then be married to him and have this beautiful son, and that she felt reconnected. She felt like there was purpose in all of this. And within no time, people started flocking to her because they noticed such a difference in her behavior. And then she started to counsel people that were also grieving for different reasons. And she ended up writing a book and becoming the head of the Grief Coach Academy. And she's counseled thousands of people at this point. And it was all triggered by this dream that was this big turnaround for her. So that's one of the really cool stories that's in Dreams and the Unexplainable, Chicken Soup for the Soul.
That is so beautiful. My goodness. I'm so glad that you shared that with us. And it's interesting when we get that greater insight, if we can shift perspectives pretty quickly.
Yeah. And one of the most, and I have this, it seems to come up a lot about departed loved ones and dreams, and people are, it seems to be one of the quickest ways that people can heal is by remembering a dream. And then people will ask me, but my beloved died and I haven't dreamt about them. I'm like, yeah, but are you going out of your way to remember your dreams? You have to kind of build the muscle of practicing remembering your dreams on ordinary days in order to catch the big dreams that come down the pike. So I believe that we are being ministered to by our loved ones on the other side, but the issue is, can we remember it? Even though we have the dream and we're remembering it as it's happening, but then we wake up and we change our point of view as soon as we wake up, and it's, if we don't carry it deliberately into our waking life, then it's as if it never happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just hasn't even occurred at all. Well, and so
right.
What are some other ways that people can use their dreams to kind of, facilitate being on their path in life?
Oh, man. This is another example from Dreams and the Unexplainable that I think it just demonstrates it perfectly. It's one of my favorite stories. It's kind of the comic relief story, I think, in this whole book, because many of these books the stories in the book will make you cry. This one just is funny. This one is, this woman has this dream that she is in a bar and she's being approached by a woman carrying a drink on a tray and to her, and the woman gets close to her and she picks up the drink and throws it in her face, hits her over the head with the glass, and yells in her face, "Would you just wake up?" And the woman jumps out of bed, and she's covered in water, and she's got a throbbing headache from the glass that just hit her head that she's now holding in her hand, and she hears her own voice saying, "Would you just wake up?" And she realized it was her that hit her own head with the glass.
Oh, no.
And so she's sitting there on the edge of her bed, stunned and thinking, what the heck was this dream about? So she does something that this is what I recommend everybody do. Even if you don't have a dream where you hit yourself with your own glass of water on your nightstand. She grabs her journal and a pen, and then she writes the question, what is this dream trying to help me wake up to? And then she answers the question by like kind of stream of consciousness, starts writing. And what ends up being revealed is, through her journaling, is she'd been a creative writing teacher who had, for the last 10 years, been helping her students to publish their writing, and she'd been helping to edit their writing and encourage them. And yet she hadn't allowed any time for herself to do any creative writing. And what her dream seemed to be waking her up to was, you got to write your own stuff. So she began in that one journaling session. She wrote and wrote and wrote page after page of this novel that she had been kind of percolating about in her mind, but now it was on the page. And she did end up publishing that story, and she's published many stories since then and has changed her whole life. And we love teachers. There's nothing wrong with teachers, but she is no longer a teacher. She's now a full-time writer and making her living doing that. And that is what she believed her dream was trying to wake her up to. So to answer your question, how can we use our dreams to have a practical impact on our waking life? One way to do that is by incorporating a simple journaling practice in the morning. So, for example, first thing I do when I wake up, before I put any water on my face, because that moment that water touches the face, it kind of is like the wake-up call. So while staying in kind of a groggy state, I'll write down my dreams, and I put them, actually voice record them into an app on my phone. And then I'll journal immediately following about any insights that I feel like my dream was trying to reveal to me. And then I'll journal about whatever else wants to come through, but just for a few minutes, like maybe 15 minutes altogether. And it's a wonderful way to get some practical insight about what the dream is wanting us to do. And our dreams always come to us in the service of our health, our healing, our wholeness. And if we ask our dreams, okay, what is something I can do to honor this dream today? We will always get some kind of insight or some kind of nudge in that direction. And even if it's not clear, the fact that we asked that question means that within a day or two, there will be some kind of a synchronicity that will reveal itself where you'll know, I need to talk to that person. That person was in my dream last night. Or I heard that song in my dream last night. Oh, wait a minute, Calling All Angels. Maybe I need to go to church, or maybe I need to, think about, I don't know, whatever. But they'll usually bring us to whatever the next step is on our journey in the most magical way.
Such a beautiful story. Thank you, Kelly. And it makes perfect sense. You hear these things, and a lot of times people need these examples so they can relate it to their own life. Yes, and it's, so many people think kids, as I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, most often kids remember their dreams. But then as we get older, we do begin paying attention to the things on the outside world. The external world begins to bling and get our attention. So most adults don't typically remember dreams, and they think, well, it's something I used to do when I was a kid when I had more time on my hands, but I'm a serious person now. I have a mortgage to pay for. I've got food to put on the table. I don't have time for the silliness of dreams. And I tell people, oh, my goodness, if you spent a few minutes in the morning paying attention to your dreams, there was a Harvard study that said that it's clinically proven that by paying attention to your dreams, you become more intuitive in your waking life. Your decision-making is more accurate. You tend to have a deeper sense of confidence and connection to your own center and your life. And that's just the bare bones of what you get out of it, not to mention the great inventions that have come through dreams and the millions of dollars people have made because of dream-related ideas. So we really can't afford not to pay attention to our dreams. Well, Kelly, gosh, we can obviously be here for hours talking. We'll have to do this again in the near future because this is way too much fun. And, of course, I'd even touch half the questions I want to ask you here. So we'll definitely do this again pretty soon. Where can our listeners connect with you and be like part of your community?
Oh, thank you so much, Marianne. On Facebook is probably the best place. My page is Kelly-Sullivan-Walden, Dr. Dream, doctor spelled all the way out. And then my regular web page, I have all kinds of free bonus gifts that I give away if you sign up on my web page, which is kelly-sullivan-walden.com. And if that's too hard to spell, you can go to ihadthestrangestdream.com. It will also bring you there. And on Twitter and Instagram, Kelly S. Walden. And I have trips coming up. I have a trip coming up in a week to Costa Rica. It's a dream journey. But later in April, I'm taking a group of people to Peru to do a little shamanic work and some dreaming. And so I have some trips like that are always around the corner. If anybody's interested in doing something magical like that, they can go to my website and find out all about it.
Yeah, and those are magical places for sure, So if you're in a dream, that's a place to do it.
Definitely.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Oh, my goodness. Well, this is a beautiful moment. I so appreciate getting to be on the show with you too, Marianne. You're such a sweetheart. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly. It's been such a joy to spend this time with you and talk about dreams and, of course, the unexplainable. We're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.